Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the I Got a Girl podcast. And I'm so excited today to have my dear friend, client, just sister from another mister, Shawna with me today. There's no way you'll not leave this podcast without loving this woman and wanting to like just adopt her and bring her into your life. I just don't know how to say it. Like she's amazing. So without further ado, I'm just gonna have you just tell the world about yourself. What do you want to share?
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. I am super excited about this journey that you're taking with your podcast, and so super happy and exciting to be here with you as a part of it. So my name is Shawna Rasch, and I live in Houston, Texas. I've been working with Jackie now. I think we're going on 3 years, but I've known you. I think like six. It's been
Not
a while.
crazy.
I
Oh my
know. I can't
gosh.
believe I'm not even
Time
sure where the time went.
flies.
It does. It does. And so it's been an incredible journey, actually. I do feel like that even though we've known each other for a while, working together and really connecting the way that we did came along at a pivotal point in time for me where I was kind of shifting and navigating life and career and momhood and all the things. And so my journey from the whole, self-help guru, self-development junkie, whatever terms you want to call it, started about 7 years ago. Not anything I was looking for. It showed up one day when literally I was at a conference in Houston. A hurricane actually showed up while we were in the middle of this conference that we were at. And these women that were on the panels that were a part of this conference kept talking about these life coaches and how they helped them and what they did. And I was at a point in my career where I was juggling a lot of plates, but felt like I was dropping all of them all the time and was really scared to lean into what was next as a result of watching others around me where their marriages fell apart, who they were fell apart. They lost themselves in a lot of the transitions. And so I just didn't know what to do to navigate what was next. And it just so happened that the lady that was emceeing that particular event happened to be a coach. I did not get a chance to talk to her when we were done. And I started that conference really not knowing what to expect and left that conference going, well, I don't know what this is, but I need one of whatever these are. Ran into her in the valet and I was like, hey, do you happen to know how you connect with a coach? And she was like, well, I just happen to be one. And I was like, what, Ember? And she's like, no, seriously, I am. And she's like, let's connect and talk. And if we're not a right match, I know lots of people who can help you and we can find you the right match. And so the universe totally knew what it was doing when I said yes to the invite. I showed up. These women were talking about what they were talking about. The MC was exactly a life coach, and she was exactly what I was needing without me realizing that was the case. And so that was really a huge moment for me where it made such a difference in my world and the trajectory of what was coming down my path on the journey
Mm,
that I was on. And
yeah.
it's actually because of her I met you.
Yeah. Rachel,
So,
Rachel.
yes,
Giving
right
a
to
shout out
Rachel.
to
And so,
Rachel.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's amazing. And I'm so glad, I'm so blessed that you that day listened. I gotta say, so because how many times now, we know now, but I don't think we realize how many times we don't listen to that inner knowing because of all the stuff that we've been told or the lessons we were learned or the things people said or whatever. It's like you should be doing this and you should be doing that, and a lot of shitting all over ourselves that we don't realize until we realize. And so I just want to highlight and honor and celebrate that there's something that you just knew in that moment. You're like, I need this. I don't know what it is, because I was like you. I didn't know what coaching was. Like
Yep, yep.
when I ran into it, I was like, life coaching, business coaching. I knew like
Yeah.
soccer coach, football
Yeah,
coach. So
yeah. I
like
was
I
like,
didn't
what is
know,
that?
right? And so there was something in that moment that you trusted yourself, and which I believe, I know we met later on, but I believe like that moment that we trust ourselves beyond the shoulds, beyond the other things, and we actually say yes to that, that's the beginning. Like
Yeah.
that's the beginning of true freedom, in my opinion. Because the more we can trust and honor self, that's the I talk about freedom from the inside out. But I just want okay, so I want to ask you a question, because you mentioned you were in this zone of life where you're, parents, working, blah blah blah, all the things. So you were in this place of like, I call it the you got it girl controlling life, right?
Yes.
You're
Yep.
in like, okay, I'm controlling this and I'm controlling this and I'm controlling this, and I've just got this grip on life so tightly that you didn't realize what was going on to you in that moment. Like what was functioning, probably not functioning very well, or this and that. Like you were just so tell me about that, like where you were at then, because then we're going to get to where you are now, which
Okay.
is amazing and blows my mind because it's still ever growing for you. But
Yeah.
Talk about, because I think a lot of people are going to relate to exactly where you were.
Oh man. So when I was at that conference, I was at a point in my career where I was wanting to lean into a C-suite position. I was already doing the work. I was already making the decisions. I already had the respect of that group, so to speak. You know, you talk about needing to be validated by what you do and the work that you do and what you bring. I was very much in that space, right? And so,
Mhm.
but the more I kept trying to lean into that, the more my world began to unravel. And the more I tried to hold on to the control, like that grip you talk about, the tighter I held on, it actually made things worse, not better.
Mm,
And what was happening for me was that I began to realize a little bit before the conference, but while sitting there and listening to the women, because these women were all moms, they had kids, they were married, they were entrepreneurs, they were CEOs, they were high level executives doing all this amazing work. And they had these full time jobs that made them, that pulled them away from their homes a lot. Right. And
mhm,
so they had found a way to kind of make that work. But what I was noticing for me was that the more I leaned in, the more I held on, the more control I tried to have, I personally was unraveling and from every aspect of my body, like
mm,
mentally, emotionally, physically, my relationships with my kids, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with myself. I was working 60 plus hours a week. I didn't have healthy boundaries. I didn't know how to say no. It was like the more I tried to control, the more I kept like creating almost like this black hole that I continued to get sucked into that
mm.
I could not find my way out of. And so it got scary because I began to foresee kind of like, if I keep this, the one thing that I was so scared about if I tried to do that was obviously ruining my marriage. And
Mhm.
I didn't want to sacrifice my marriage for anything related to work. But additionally, my relationship with my children was very strained because I was strained. And so they were feeling the brunt of all of that. And I just was, as I began to kind of look forward, it was, what's this going to be if I really do it? And so, yeah. And so when I
I just got
was at that conference, it was like these women, I think that's what drew me to what getting a coach or a life coach was like, maybe this is my answer for figuring out how to have the balance and want to go for it as well. Because
yeah.
you know, as a mom, having a career can be so challenging and you battle the guilt of having one all of the time because if you have a career and you're a mother, it does pull you away from motherhood. It does. It just
Mhm,
naturally does by the nature of what you're doing. And
mhm,
so it's finding that balance where you're not beating yourself up because you're not present all the time. And you're not beating yourself up because you're not present with your husband all the time. And you're not beating yourself up because you want something more and you want to be something more.
mhm.
And being a mom is amazing and it's all the things, but at the same token, it's not the only thing.
Yes.
So,
But something that gave me goosebumps, you saw me like react, was when you asked yourself the question of what's it gonna look like if I continue on this path right now? And
mhm,
that is a beautiful, if there's one thing you take away from this podcast, guys, like this episode is take that away. Ask yourself that question. If I continue on the path that I'm currently on, where is it gonna lead me? Because that there can identify you're aligned or you're not aligned. You're on the right track or you're on something that's gonna like go down crazy train lane, you know? And so I'm so proud of you for saying that to yourself because that's like I think we all get to this dissatisfaction place. Dissatisfaction's a good place because it actually creates us to question and contemplate our current journey. And so you asking that actually shifted the energy in your body to be at that conference with those people, to meet Rachel in the valet, you know what I mean? Like, and to ask the
right,
question,
right.
you
Yep.
know? So we have to get, so like a lot of times, like we don't always have to get to dissatisfaction, but we have to get to this place. Like initially, I was at a place of total dissatisfaction. I was the I got a girl who managed in the restaurant industry, as you guys have heard, for so long. And I was in this place in my last few years where I was unhappy with the job that I actually had. I was pretty happy with all of the careers that I chose, all of the places I chose along my career, but I was unhappy. I was dissatisfied. I had a lot of dissatisfaction. Like, and there was just a lot of resistance and just not happy, but I couldn't put a finger on what it was, right? And to when I had the awareness, you had the awareness in this place, hearing all these women who are coaches or have coaches or have mentioned like things of support that they've had, you were like, wait a second, that sounds pretty cool for me, but here's the fun part. You didn't know what you were getting into, but you trusted yourself. So that's another second point. One, ask the question about yourself.
Yeah.
Two, when you feel it, trust it.
Yeah.
So what would you say? What was that first year like in life coaching? Like
Oh my
I'm
God. It was,
because
you know what? So
I know mine. Mine was like crying on my bed for 9 months straight. And I was like, I hired someone to help me build a business. And I'm like, what the fuck is going
yeah,
on right
yeah.
now?
Why am I crying all the time? This does not work for business. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And as we all know in this journey, that one, your personal work is absolutely essential for your business work to be what it needs to be,
Yes.
right? If you don't have the
Yes.
person, if you're not doing the personal development work and you're not that self development junkie, you don't have to be a junkie. But once you start to do it and you realize what it does, you become one naturally because that's the way it works, right? But
Mhm.
if you're not doing that work, then all the things you're trying to create and build, you're going to continue to find that it's an uphill battle and you don't understand why.
Mhm.
And it's because we
Mhm.
have all these other things and layers that are underneath that must be healed and have gratitude and awareness around and be grateful for and honor and then
Mhm.
and grow from, right? And so when you're asking me that first year, first of all, I had no idea what I was getting into. I'm like, oh, all
Right.
right, whatever. You know, Rachel and I had we went, this was before COVID hit. So we met at Starbucks. We were there for a couple hours. She had me fill out a questionnaire about some things that I had going on. We talked about a bunch of stuff and it was like, yep, this is a good match because she totally matches my energy. And
Mhm.
so, and what's amazing is that our in the beginning, what we learned was that my control, my need, my desperation actually for control was my safety mechanism. That was my security
Mhm.
blanket. And that comes from my childhood where my world was always out of control. And I always had to find a way to take care of myself, protect myself. You know, whatever it was I needed to do had to be done. Right. And I didn't have adults to rely on for that to occur. And so my world always lived in chaos. And so what was happening was is I was creating more chaos because anytime that would even remotely slow down, I could not handle it. It was like a nervous system was like, what the fuck is happening? You need to make whatever needs to be going on, you need to make more. Shift it so
I'm
there's more.
so relating to you, by the way. As you know, like we have so like, and I'm not the only one. I know so many people are listening to this right now and going, yeah, that's yeah. I was there or I'm still there. So,
Yes. And
oh,
that
so
first
good.
year literally was about doing work with Rachel in a way that helped me, one, first realize and understand that a lot of what was going on, I was actually the one creating. That was the first thing. Then it was to understand why I was creating it. Then it was, how do I silence it? How do I not make it disappear? But I needed to know that I could exist. My body needed to know that I could exist in a world where things were peaceful and it was quiet and you could just
Mhm.
be and be present without all the crazy happening all the time. Right. And so that first year, that is all that we did. We worked
Mhm.
on identifying the triggers that came with some of that, my childhood experiences, which were the root experiences from where a lot of that stemmed from. You know, you guys do the parts work, which is where you talk to your little version of yourself, which
Mhm.
is super emotional. You would never know until you do it, but it's some of my most favorite work. But you get to go back to the little version of yourself, back to different points in time, and be able to tell that little version of you how much you love them and appreciate them for what they have done
Mhm.
for you in those moments, because you know they do the best they can with what they have.
Mhm.
And then being able to be like, thank you. Now you can go rest. Go take a
Mhm.
breath.
Mhm.
Just take a moment and know that I've got it here going forward. And you feel safe to do so.
Mhm.
Because if you don't feel safe, the shift isn't going to happen.
And so many times I've mentioned on this in my trainings and in all the things I do, for the whole, we're all trying to get back to love, safety, belonging within self, right? It's the three foundational human needs. And that safety piece, the things that we create between 0 and 8, between that age range to keep us safe, to keep us loved, to keep us belonging, like the stories that we've created and the mechanisms, just like you mentioned, the survival mechanisms that we create. We don't like, but it's crazy because like we understand that we're doing it, right? It's not like a conscious thing that we're doing, but it's helps us survive. And so I so related to all of that. And they serve us up to a certain point. Like whatever survival mechanism, whatever this triggers for you as you're listening of what Shauna's sharing, like it served a purpose and it served a reason for you. But I love that you said, now you can go rest.
Yeah.
Like, it no longer serves where I'm going. I get to create new emotional regulation tools to help me emotionally regulate, or the healing, the releasing, whatever it is, because there's so many things that you're representing right now, which you're sharing, that it's we get to function differently moving forward. So it doesn't make it wrong that we have created these like some of the survival mechanisms are not healthy, right? They're
Oh,
not like
no.
right. They're not like, that death grip of control and never needing support and always having to figure it out yourself and being an expert problem solver made me very successful in the career and the life that I had. And it kept me from ever receiving love. It kept me from keeping myself distant, like just enough distance to never really find someone to love me fully or allow anyone or myself to love anyone fully, friendship or relationship, whatever. I mean, there's like, and we don't realize it until we do the work that you're talking about. Okay, so you did that first year and you healed and you cried and you did all the things and you were good to go, right? You never needed
No.
any more help.
No, that's not how that works.
That's not
That
how it works.
was layer number 1
That was
or 1 through 20, however you want to call it.
and I'm not trying to scare people, but just it's more so the realization that we're either growing or dying, right? So it's like we're forever growing in life. And so knowing that it's not a one and done. It just
No.
isn't. And every layer, I know the one saying like new level, new devil kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
some people like to state it differently, but it's true. It's like you heal this realm and then like you're healing this, and then this first level comes back, and then it's like, okay, but the beauty is that I'm guaranteeing you're going to probably say the same thing, is that with each year it gets easier.
It
Like
does. And I like to
it's
think of it like an ascension spiral, right? We're
yeah.
all that spiral never stops and it never ends, right? Because we're, as you've mentioned, we're evolving all of the time. And so this was an evolutionary point on my journey where I was ready to hear that this opportunity was available. And I thankfully said, listen to my gut and listen to my intuition and said yes to myself. It is through that experience where I've learned that saying yes, there's so much, and I know we'll come back to this, but there's so much that comes from that one moment that I said yes, because now I say yes all the time. And so on that ascension spiral that you're talking about, there's always a notch, right? And you evolve and you grow and you hit the notch again. And sometimes you revisit the same things you've been through, and other times you hit something new. And it's because you grow and evolve, and because we are like an onion, but much sweeter, with all the layers. As you unpack things and you learn things and you heal from things and you learn and love from a place of gratitude, which is something I didn't even know was a thing that you was really even super important, but it's critical, is that as you hit that little notch, to your point, it does sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder depending on what you're growing through, but
Hmm.
that notch is the
Hmm.
notch of growth. And it's never going to not go away. It's always there. Whether if you
Hmm.
try to avoid it, you can think that you'll never be, then you're complacent. That is not how life works.
Mm-mm,
So,
mm-mm, mm-mm,
yeah.
mm. It'll come back with a vengeance, I always say. Like, the more I
Yeah.
stuff something down, now
Oh,
that I
yeah.
understand
Yeah.
this concept, it comes back with a vengeance, and it's like we tend to wanna be like, "Oh, you're so stupid," or, "I can't believe, like, da 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 da," and it's like, the poor thing is like, I kept you alive. That like, what I'm like, that old version or those old ways of being is what kept you alive for X amount of years or ways of being, and healthy or not. Like mine, the story I always tell is like I had bulimia for, gosh, I mean, 20 plus years of my life that helped me regulate my emotions because I was a kid who raised myself from 7 on. And it's like, how do you, I was like, well, if I feel lonely and like, frustrated or this and that, like I do the binging, and then the purging was to help me release anger and frustration and feelings that those emotions are useless. No, 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 we don't deal, like I can't be a burden to anybody. So
Yeah.
that's not a great mechanism. And recognize that the positive intention of that mechanism kept me functioning for so many years where nobody knew until I spoke about it. Nobody knew, but it kept me happy, Jackie. It kept me stable. It kept me running life, and I lived a good life. So I'm not trying to discount that I got a girl who's in control from survival and fear. It sounds very negative, but honestly, she can have a really good life under that state or way of being,
Yeah.
and it gets to be better. And that's
Yes.
the point, is that it gets to be better, it gets to grow, and you get to thrive from love, joy, trusting in self, and having peace amongst the chaos, not just chaos amongst the chaos. You actually
Yes.
get to have peace amongst the crazy world behind us, and stuff.
And you're comfortable in it and you feel safe in
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's the core of getting the so that first year or so, like the first couple years, you're doing this integral because I was the same. I was like, okay, I need to build a business because I got
Yeah.
fired from my job. And then it was like heal, heal, cry, heal, like in like the first year. And I was like, I remember looking at Kenny, another wonderful coach that we both have worked with in the past, and I looked at Kenny and I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up to build a business and make money.
Yeah.
I'm like, and we laughed, and she's like, uh-huh. And she's like,
Yeah.
and
She's like,
like a little,
uh-huh.
mhm. And so I am so grateful that I was willing and allowing myself to go through those uncomfortable places and to heal those things and still healing and still growing and all that stuff. But that was a crucial year for me. That was crucial. Okay, so you've gone through, you're doing this work, and you've never stopped doing this work, which I'm so want to celebrate you for that. You've never, like you said, I've learned to say yes, but you've also learned to say no. Like
I
you've learned to
have.
say no a lot. And so tell me about now version of Shawna, like that you so you have, you didn't mention this earlier, but she has a nonprofit, she has her own company, she has is that what you planned? Like, is
Oh
that what you
God,
thought
no,
you'd be where
no,
you are today?
no. First of all, if you plan it, I'm pretty much what the universe comes along and is like, oh, hold my beer for just a second while these little
Exactly.
plans you got going on, just hold on a second.
You think it's gonna
No,
look like this, and it looks like that
it's
over
like,
there.
it's
Like,
like,
I
yeah,
did
I'm
not
like an
expect to live
abstract
in an
painting
RV.
or one of those block tests that you do, like the psychology test. That's what my world looks like. So no, as a matter of fact, I honestly, until 2022, there's a whole lot happened between COVID and 2020, like before COVID and 2022 with all the work that we've done, right? But before that moment, which was, I believe, it was September of 2022 when I finally declared it. I was almost physically ill for most of 2022 for what I knew was coming, for the
Mm,
decisions I was going to make. But never, ever, ever in my whole life did I ever think I was capable of being an entrepreneur. I never thought I was a person that had those skills, the qualities, the mindset, the work ethic, like none of that. I'm like, that's not for me. I will always be a W-2 employee. I will always work for somebody else. And so um, as I continued to do the work, both with Rachel, other coaches, you, right? It was when I began to realize that there were shifts that were happening in my world. I began to put through the work, I learned how to put healthy boundaries in place. So to your point, you told me that not only did I learn to say yes, I also learned to say no. As a matter
mhm,
of fact, that was some of the first things we did was put those boundaries in place for me just at work. Wasn't even home and anywhere else. It was just work first because that was what was killing me the most. And
mhm,
then from there, I learned healthy boundaries in relationships, both personal, romantic, with my kids, with work, everything, right? Was like, what do you allow? What do you don't allow? You talked about alignment earlier. That wasn't even a word I even knew what it was. I didn't know what it
I
was. I
know.
didn't know what it meant. Being grateful for past experiences and using that gratitude to understand the positive intention behind some of the unhealthy things you mentioned that we did as coping mechanisms, because they're not bad, right? It's just what you had at in your toolbox at the time, because that's all you knew. And so when I hit 2022 in my career working at Amrisk, which I really enjoyed and thought that was the place I was going to retire from. Like I
Mhm,
loved that job so much, the people that I worked with, everything. But things had shifted quite a bit during COVID and afterwards, and my role and who I was working with and all the things, right? And so as I was watching things crumble around me that we had created, especially culturally, and things that were really important to me, as well as my ability to be there for my kids and have the flexibility that I needed as a mom, I saw the shift on the horizon. And it probably would have come sooner if I was more trusting of myself to say yes.
mhm, mhm.
But it literally took me 9 months. And you have a kid like in 10. So, but all of August, I was physically ill because I knew the next step that I was making, which was going to declare that I was leaving my W-2 job. I did not have another a job lined up, which and most of us in our generation know that you never leave a job unless you have something lined up first,
Right.
right?
Mhm,
But I was like, I'm not going. I was, I knew I had so much conviction when I declared that I was leaving that I was not going to go somewhere else unless it was something either I created or was fully in alignment with who I was and where I
mhm.
was going. And which meant, it gives me chill bumps talking about it, which meant I had to fully let go and trust when I said I was leaving my
Yep.
job. And so fucking terrified me. I'm lucky my husband was so supportive because I literally came back from our retreat we were on because that's where I was like, this is what I'm doing. On the plane, I wrote my resignation letter. I wrote what I was looking for next, what I wanted to have created next.
Mhm,
I waited a few weeks just because I knew how things were going on at work. and then I submitted it. And by November, I left. And then I got 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from my former boss within the company and said, "Hey, can you come back and to do contract work and train us on the things that you know how to do so we can do it?" And I was like, "Sure." And I had worked for 8 months.
Making more money than what you were making when you were
Yes,
employed.
with
So
flexibility in my schedule to take care of my family.
so
Yeah.
I remember at that retreat, the one that, was Kenny's retreat, and when we were sitting at that kitchen table and you said something about it, and I was like, "Okay, do
You
it."
go, "Are you going to die?"
Yeah, and I was
That's
like
a Jackieism. Are you going to die? Are you going to be homeless
you're
on the herb
like, and I
with a
just ended
cardboard
up
box and your kids?
it was
So I'm
like
like,
one of those, like, when I always joke around about gently pushing off the cliff,
yeah,
and that is a good question I always ask. I'm like, "Are you gonna die if you do it?" "No." Like, what's gonna happen? What could happen? If you walk away from your job tomorrow, what could happen? And this is a question we gotta ask ourselves sometimes because we just get so stuck in the worries of the future, and our imagination can create those worries so real that our body feels it, and so we will stop and not do the thing. But what if we lived in the future desires of what's possible? If we spent more time in that beautiful place, because we either like we're in the past we cannot change, future worries we cannot control. So if we can't control the future desires either, well, if you have to choose A or B, worries or desires, I choose desires hands down, right? It's more
yeah,
fun.
yep,
But it's not fun to someone who's never lived that way.
yep.
And so it's petrifying. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. And so when I was like, "Would you die?" and you're like, "No." And you
Right.
claimed it when we were sitting in that one room doing the work. And when you claimed it, you're like, wait, let's say this right. Um, let your
Let the
fire be
fire be greater than the fear.
yes. Ugh, so good. So the fire for what you wanted next. Now, did you know what you wanted next? Were you
Nope, had
clear
no
on that?
idea.
No
Nope.
idea. So
I was like,
how did your current place unfold? Like,
oh
was
my
it
God. It was pretty awesome, actually. So I left and had a couple weeks to like not have to worry about work, which is kind of nice. Right. And so, and not tried not to stress, which is not easy to do, right? Because
no, because your
finances
nervous
and
system's
money are
like
a real thing. Yeah. Right. And
yeah.
so suddenly I went from this super structured world and environment to suddenly having like this open book of doing whatever. And I've got ADHD, so open books are not always the greatest thing, right? Sometimes they can be work against you versus for you. And so there was a little bit of that, not really knowing what to do with myself and kind of like, well, what do I do next? Like, what do I do? And then got the call back about the contract thing. And it was during the time while I was doing that, I was like, I really like this. Like, I get to be in a space that I enjoy, doing something that I love, working with people that are important and valuable to me, being valued in a different way than I was when I was an actual employee there, had
Mhm.
flexibility in my schedule to do it. To your point, made more money. And I I love to empower others, right? I love to teach other people and train and do all the things. And that's what I spent my whole time doing for the 8 months that I was there.
Mhm.
That then led, as that was coming to a close, my brother in law owns his own business and he was preparing for a large convention he had coming up like 6 months later. So I think it was in June of 2023. So now we had fast forwarded from November. And so overlapping with the two of them, I was helping him with his website and marketing materials and things that he needed in order to be able to get that prepared for that conference he had in January of 24. So that's what I spent the next 6 months doing. And then my sister, as a matter of fact, she connected me with her neighbor who has a business called Acuity Technology Partners. And Rob, who's amazing, runs his business as a small business, and he was looking for some additional help. She gave him my resume. He called me. So we literally spent 3 months talking just about who we were as people, our dreams, our aspirations, what we wanted, what we were looking for in life, how he got to where he was, how I got to where I was. And one of the things that's super important to him is psychological safety and the conversations in the world that he creates. And so he he put me to the fire. He was like, "What do you want to do? Like, what is it you want to do?" And it took us 3 hours. It was a 3 hour conversation on his back porch. He asked me that question probably no less than 6 times. And every time I danced around the answer of it. And he finally looked at me and he goes, "Look, there's no wrong answer here. I want you to tell me what you want to do." And so I was like, "Well, I don't want to do project management and I don't want to do this. And I really want to do change management and communications and training. That's what I want to do. I want to build out this part of your company for you." He's like, "That's what I was waiting for you to say. That's what I wanted to hear." And he's like, "I don't have anything for you today." He's like, "But this is what I want you to do." He goes, "I want you to text me once every couple of weeks. Something will come up and the right opportunity will present itself. And that opportunity did not happen until 3 more months later.
Mhm.
And so there was a period of time in there where I was not working, and I was, and it's funny because my kids suddenly, like, all of their schedules filled up. I have no idea what like in that time frame. It was like I would have been able to work even if I wanted to. Like
Right,
we were
right, I
so
remember
busy,
that,
and
yep.
so, but I had to really, truly, fully trust, and I just knew, like in the bottom depths of my stomach, I was like, this is the place I'm supposed to be. And this is the guy I'm supposed to be working with. And this is the company that I'm going to help support grow and launch this portion of who they are.
Mhm.
With, like, it was like you and I are talking today on this podcast, and hopefully the sun always comes up. Right. And so
Mhm.
I just had to trust and be patient that the timing would come when it was supposed to. And it totally
Yeah,
did. It totally did.
yeah, and I
Oh,
I've
yeah. And I
100.
lost my nonprofit in there. I forgot about that part, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Keep going.
yeah, just a
I forgot
little,
about that part.
nonprofit as well. And so I just wanna, we are coming to our time, and so I just wanna make sure that people hear the couple things. One, that you maintained even through that, uh, tough time of not working and not having money flowing, you maintained support. You kept support for yourself during the process because one thing I talk a lot about is that gap in between who we are and who we're becoming. There's a gap in between there, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whether it's whatever it is, physical, and it's uncomfortable and
Mhm.
it's scary and it's and we're not meant to do this alone. Like, we are not meant to do and I was the epitome of the I got it girl of like, I got this, I don't need anybody's help, blah, 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 blah. And when I realized that it we are worthy of help, we are worthy of support, it doesn't make us weak, it makes us stronger. We get to be
Mhm.
vulnerable and we're safe, and that makes us stronger. It's not like all the things that we were told to like be quiet and to be stronger, like, is bullshit. And
Yep.
so you maintained through that. And was it scary? Yes. Were payments going out? Yes. Were things got like, but you maintained the fact that you knew that I got to continue to dump into me. And something that we always hear, like, self-care is selfless, not selfish, which is really good. Supporting yourself with mentors and groups and organizing, like, whatever it is, support from your husband, support from, it's so important to allow yourself to receive that.
When it
So
creates such
go ahead.
an amazing shift, right? So what sometimes you see it immediately, and then sometimes you see it a little bit later, and other times it's very soft in how it occurs, right?
Hmm.
And it's by having awareness, you begin to recognize the little things that come. There is a ripple effect in the work that you do. And you mentioned
Just
on
gonna hit
your
that.
Destiny
Yes.
Memberships Maker call today was like, you know, healing yourself heals people who's heal people. I'm sorry. And so almost within a month or so of working with Rachel initially, I noticed a very large shift in my relationship with my children. Like,
Mhm.
it makes me emotional when I think about it because I didn't realize actually how much I was damaging our relationship until it started to heal. And then
Mhm.
the same thing with my husband. I did not realize how strained things have become until I started letting go and started pouring into myself. And the more, which I think is the reason why, I guess we Chobam's talking about it. I think it's the reason why I don't hesitate anymore to say yes when it's in alignment with me and
Mhm.
where I'm going and what I'm doing. Right. So not just yes to everything, but the yeses that
Yes.
are important and no's to the things that are equally as important. And it shifts the world around you for the better.
Mhm.
Yes, are there challenges along the way? Absolutely, all the time. Is it hard sometimes because you see separation of things and things that get let go along the way? Yes, because they don't no longer serve the version that you are of yourself, but it's okay because those people and those things and that environment that you're looking for will fill and match what you're at where you are at that time in your life for
Mhm.
and fulfill you for what you need and even bring you more value and fulfillment than you ever even knew wasn't there before until you
Mhm.
realize that you have it. And so I can't imagine, actually, I don't even want to imagine, but I can't even imagine my world today if I had not said that 7 years ago. It would be
Yeah.
so completely different. And I
Yeah.
think you've actually posed the question a couple times where, what's the cost if you say no? Or what's the cost if you don't say yes?
Mhm.
And that cost can be so great. And that cost is not
Yes.
worth it.
Ah, mm. I usually say, "What's your final words?" But I think you just hit them. Like, what would you leave with the audience? And someone asked me, like, I brought that up on the membership call as well. It's like someone asked me in the very beginning, like, "What are you willing to lose?" And it's not a scarcity tactic because I don't believe in selling from a scarcity place. It's one of those like, here's the reality of things. Like, if you don't say yes to yourself, take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and all that stuff, if you're not doing that, then you're doing the reverse. And that is impacting everybody in your world. So, for those of us who function from a place of service and we're like, I'll say yes if it's helping somebody. Well, helping you is helping everybody in your
Yes.
world. And so, if you can think about it that way, that was a mind shift for me big time, where I was like, by me doing this, like when I invest in a program or invest in a coach or I'm investing in myself, not the coach. I'm investing in my future. And because of that, my stepchildren, my husband, the people in my world will grow and expand and
Yes.
have a better life because I said yes to myself. And so if you right now are thinking it's selfish or, or that, I don't know, I can't see putting the money into that right now or this and that, like think about who you're going to impact if you do, whose life you're going to change, even beyond like way beyond your own. It's actually selfish to not take care of
And you're
yourself.
absolutely worth the investment because you're
Yes.
investing in yourself and in others around you.
Yes. And that investment can be in so many different ways. It could be getting hair care. Like I mean, I like calculate now. Like I like laugh at how much money I put into things for myself, whether it's supplements, hair care products, the food that I choose versus what I used to choose, like pricier meats that are healthier for me than the ones I was choosing. And then of course mentorship and programs. And I'm like, I didn't put a dime into myself previous to this, by the way.
No,
Like whatsoever. Like I was unheard. Like what? Like spend like thousands of dollars on a retreat for my own personal well-being and growth. Like I'd vacation, but that was unheard of. And then the
I
more I
didn't
did
spend
it,
that kind of money on my own vacations, like with
right.
my family. I've spent more in my own retreats, but God, those are amazing. The women that you're with, the people that you're with, the stuff that you do, the stuff you talk about, the transformations that are made, the
Huge.
connections, the impact. Like you just, there's no greater container, honestly.
I no, there isn't. And the fact that's why I started running two of them a year myself, because I went to probably 20 before I started running them myself. I actually had Kristen, one of my past clients, was like, just do your own. And then
Yep.
that started
Yep.
the whole journey because the people kept following me to the other retreats and they kept like they kept spending money on with other coaches because of me. They trusted me and they're like, just do your own. So now I run two a year. And so anyway, okay, we know we can talk for hours. We've
Yeah, we
done it
could.
on a daily basis practically.
That's part
So
two and
I
three
know.
and four.
And again, like I know I'm going to be doing more sessions with more podcast episodes with you because it's just so much fun. So I do want to wrap it up. If someone wants to reach out to you and connect with you on anything you spoke about today, what's the best way that they can be in your world, contact you, get into your energy? Because I got to tell you guys, Shawna like feeds my soul. Like I know that she's like my client and then I'd be like, but it's a two-way street with us in so many ways. And she feeds my soul on a daily basis. I couldn't imagine life without her. So you're never leaving, just so you know. You're stuck with me. I'm
Committed
sorry.
lifelong. I'll take it.
Okay. So how can they reach you, be in your world, and what can they do to support you? I know an important thing is Biscuits Cat Haven. So what tell me a little bit, tell them with what I mean.
Okay. So there's several ways. So you can email me and I guess Jackie, are you gonna put the
Yep, it's all gonna
connection
be in
or
the show
the links in
notes.
the okay. So I have an email that you can email and we can do both my personal one as well as my Business Cat Haven one. So as you mentioned, I have a nonprofit, which talked about that later in terms of like how that came about. But if you ever want to, I do all things cats. I am the crazy cat lady. The older I get, I realize that's really a true statement and pretty much a good definition of who I am. But I have an email on a website for that. I am on Facebook, so I have links for that. I do have an email for my Rush Innovative Solutions, which is my consulting company, so I can give you links for that. And I also don't mind if you just want to text and reach out.
Mhm.
All of that is fine for me. So I would
Excellent.
love to connect and talk with whoever about whatever. And especially if you want to know more about this journey and connecting with somebody as amazing as Jackie, I would be happy to talk your ears off about it.
I love that.
So
And if you notice right above your head, if you look in
yes,
the
that's
camera,
my daughter's room.
that this is the cat. There's a cat right above your
Oh,
head. I'm
pushing cat.
laughing when you're like, So, and one link we'll make sure is in the bottom is that if you want to donate to her 501, her nonprofit 501c. Am I saying that right? Yeah.
It's like,
Her nonprofit, Biscuits Cat Haven. She does amazing things for the cat community, and she, for someone who's not a cat fan, to be honest, like I'm gonna own a cat by the end of this
yep,
process
I can burn a
because
lot of people.
of her. She's committed. God, I fall in love with everyone that's up for adoption. I'm like, nope, I've got 2 dogs. One will eat the cat, so no, we can't do that. I don't know. He probably wouldn't eat the cat, but anyway, he's a sweetheart. But if you would feel like you feel drawn to Shawna's energy, the biggest way you can help Shawna is to donate to her Biscuits Cat Haven, and that link will be down below as well. And I
Yes,
do a
I would be
monthly
honored.
donation. I don't even look at it; it just comes out.
Yep,
I get the email.
we'll put
Thank
that
you
link
for
in there
your
too.
donation. Yes, we'll put that one down there. So thank you so much for spending this time with us today, Shawna. You are such a joy, and again, I really do think we're gonna have many more conversations on this podcast with you because
I would
you
love that.
bring, as much as you don't want to admit that you're a coach in some form and fashion. She is. She's amazing. All right.
You're a mess. You crack me up.
Much love, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next.